Hello, this is Doug Maitland. I'm the manager of the Acquisition Services Section, Office of Real Estate, Ohio Department of Transportation. We're doing a module today on interpreting plans to determine the valuation problem. This course is divided into two parts, Part A and B. This is Part A. This course will also have stops in it where we will have knowledge checks. All right, as I said, the module consists of two parts, A and B. Part A is going to focus on the right-of-way plan component of the highway plans, and Part B is going to focus on the construction plan component. And Part B is going to be a separate slide presentation. Both the right-of-way plans and parts of the construction plans are needed to determine impacts to residue properties to ascertain if the valuation problem is uncomplicated or not. Under regulation, ODOT may waive the appraisal under two conditions. First is the valuation problem is uncomplicated, and the second is the anticipated compensation has to be less than $10,000. An uncomplicated valuation problem means that it's apparent that after the taking occurs, the residue property does not suffer severance damages. The residue functions as it did before the taking. The highest and best use remains unchanged. The taking is nominal. The biggest problem for those preparing the value analysis report is not recognizing that the valuation problem is complicated and that the taking adversely affects the residue and that there are damages to the residue, but yet the person proceeds to complete the value analysis. And the result is compensation that is not fair to the owner. Highway plans are used to assist in determining if the valuation problem is uncomplicated or not. Highway plans are developed through the plan development process at the Ohio Department of Transportation. It's known as the PDP. In the next slide, we're briefly going to illustrate the PDP process used at ODOT. The PDP starts with the planning phase. We determine issues and problems before time and money is expended to advance into the extensive environmental analysis and design or construction. That follows with the preliminary engineering phase, follows with the environmental engineering phase. And at the end of the environmental engineering phase, we're going to prepare the NEPA document, also known as the environmental document, and final right-of-way plans are also completed during this time. So after NEPA, we go into the final engineering and the right-of-way phase. And it's during this that the right-of-way is, during this phase, the right-of-way is brought under control. The districts obtain the right to remove, salvage, or demolish any necessary improvements. They've obtained the right to enter onto all lands needed for the project, and the district will issue a certification of right-of-way control letter, which becomes part of the PS&E package. The PS&E package is then submitted as part of the plan submittal package to the ODOT Office of Estimating, and that has to happen by the funding complete date. The plan submittal package is then sent to the Office of Accounting, where it's input into the FEMA system, Federal Management Information System. FHWA reviews, enters a signature into FEMA, and that signature becomes federal authorization to advertise for physical construction. After that occurs, the construction phase happens, and that's where we oversee the construction of the project to ensure it's built in accordance to plans, specifications, and the contract. And when it's built, that is the end of the PDP, and we start the facility maintenance portion of our highway facility. The right-of-way and construction plans are developed to a point that right-of-way can be valued and acquired. And acquisitions that occur before the environmental document or before NEPA are known as early acquisitions. And examples of those are federally funded early acquisition projects limited acquisition activities that happen during the preliminary engineering phase, hardship acquisitions, and generally none of these type of acquisitions that occur prior to NEPA, the agency ODOT does not have the power of eminent domain. And acquisitions that happen after NEPA are traditional projects, and generally for these projects, ODOT is going to have the power of eminent domain. And the value analysis report can be done during either part of these processes. Value analysis can be done pre-NEPA, or value analyses can be done post-NEPA. So now let's get into the plans and use them to determine if the valuation problem caused by the taking is uncomplicated or not. Assume you've been assigned to determine the valuation format to use for parcel number 10. And that parcel is part of a project, JOG 87, 19.75. And the PID for that project is 23,733. So what does all that mean? Well, JOG 87, 19.75 means the following. GEA is the acronym for Geauga County. All counties in the state of Ohio have a 3-letter descriptor. 87 means the project is on Highway 87. In this case, it's State Route 87 because it's an ODOT project. For an LPA project, the road could be a county road, city, or township road. 19.75 means the project is 19.75 miles west of, 19.7 miles east of the westerly border of Geauga County. If the road ran north and south, then 19.75 would signify the straight line mileage from the southerly border of Geauga County. And finally, PID is the acronym for Project Identification Number. And all projects at ODOT are tracked by PIDs. All right, so what we're looking now is the title sheet of the highway plans. This red square outlines the project. It's JOG 87, 19.75. It's in Geauga County, and it's in the Middlefield Township of Geauga County. The second outline is the index with page numbers, and the right-of-way plans, which are a portion of the highway plans, can be found on pages 90 through 125. To the right, I've outlined the PID, which we've already talked about. And then the top is the federal number. And what that means is the project's been federalized. It's got a federal number. Highway trust funds or Title 23 funds are used in the project. That means the real estate acquisition must comply with applicable federal laws and regulations, whether there's federal money in real estate or not. And I've outlined to the bottom right, it's circle 1 over 125. That means we're on page 1 of a plan set that has 125 pages in it. To the top is the project description. And to the bottom, I've outlined another area in red, which is the engineer seal. Generally means this is a final plan. And then to the left, I've put an outline of a circle, which identifies where that project is located in Geauga County. And you can see from the circle that this is at the border between Geauga County and Trumbull County. And that yellow highlight marks the border between the two counties. So now let's fly over the project area. Next slide. So what we're looking at is a Google Earth photo of the project area. The red arrow notes where the project is located. Parcel 10 is located where that white arrow is pointed. And we're going to blow it up a little bit. We're looking at an enlargement, and parcel 10 is located right where that white arrow is at. All right, so now we are looking at the right-of-way plan sheets. And the index of sheets go through page 1 through page 36. There are structural keys. This is a structural key we're looking at. It's outlined in blue, and it shows what is residential, what's commercial, what's an outbuilding. It shows that anything that has SH is a standard highway easement, and anything with a T is a temporary easement. I've outlined in brown conventional symbols. These will be important to interpreting the right-of-way plans, and I'm going to blow that up. Here's the blow up. So we've outlined in yellow things that you're going to see a lot, and you're going to see that there is a dashed line with an EXR/W. That means existing right-of-way. So the existing right-of-way lines that we're going to look at are slashed lines, dotted lines. You're going to see a solid black line with an SH in it. That will be the new take. That will be the proposed take for an SH. And you're going to see another solid black line with TMP in it. That'll be the proposed taking for the new temporary. Also, you're going to see tree lines, and they are shown as a squiggly line. Those are all outlined on yellow in front of you. All right, so now let's move to the property map sheet. And here's the property map sheet from page 4 of the right-of-way plan component. These sheets are representations of the auditor's tax map on which the proposed right-of-way has been superimposed. It shows the relationship between right-of-way and the ownerships required for the project. It shows property lines, road alignment, limits of right-of-way, and residue properties. So let's take a more detailed look on the next slide. We're on the next slide right now, and I've got a red box that says the beginning of the acquisition. And that is Hayes Road, which I've outlined in yellow, that intersects State Route 87. That is the beginning of the project. You're going to see another red box to the right of your screen. That is the end of the project. And that is Bundysburg Road, a road that splits the counties between Geauga County and Trumbull County. That'll be the end of the project. So the project runs between the intersection of Hayes Road, runs to the east, stopping at the intersection with Bundysburg Road. The project is the resurfacing and reconstruction of State Route 87, including widened shoulders and stormwater drainage improvements between Hayes Road and Bundysburg Road. The project requires acquisitions from approximately 40 different property owners. And I'm outlining right now parcel number 10. Parcel number 10 is located closer to the intersection with Hayes Road. And down below, parcel number 10 is owned by the Ribes, which is that legend to your left. And what we're going to look at now is something called a land hook. It is a sideward Z. And what the land hook means is that in this case, the owner of parcel 33, which is a circle there with the number 33 in it, whoever that owner is, owns two auditor parcels that are adjacent to one another. All right, and the owner of parcel 33, I've outlined in brown there, I believe is Stan Carey. All right, so question, who owns the property adjacent to the Ribe property, which is parcel number 10? So it's parcel 7 is one of the owners, and the owner of parcel 7 is outlined in blue here, and that's owned by the Millers. To the right, there's an ownership identified as parcel 13, also outlined on blue below, and that is owned by Hirschbergers. And if we look behind parcel number 10, it goes off map, and we would need to look at the auditor records to determine the ownership of that. But there's no land hook, so we know that the Ribes do not own the property behind them. So in conclusion, Ribes own no adjacent properties to parcel number 10. All right, summary of additional right-of-way sheet. The summary of additional right-of-way sheet is shown right here. And at the top is the contents, and so we're going to go from left to right here. We've outlined parcel 10. There are 2 takes from parcel 10, an SH and a T. The next column is the owners, and in this case we know that the Ribes are the owners. We know the next column is the sheet number, so if we want to find the right-of-way plans, we would go to the sheet numbers located in this column, and it looks like it's sheet 4 and 17 through 20. The next is the owner's record, and so we would go to the volume and page at the public records to find the document that shows how the Ribes own this property. Next is the auditor's parcel, that is the auditor's tax parcel for the Ribe property. Next is the record area. We know that the Ribe property contains 3.99 acres. And of that is total PRO. So the Ribes, that 3.99 acre tract, is encumbered with PRO. PRO is an acronym, means present road occupied. That means that it is an existing highway easement. So the area denoted in total PRO is the area encumbered by a highway easement. In this case, that highway easement would be State Route 87. Next is the gross take, which is the size that is taken for the standard highway easement. Next column is the PRO in the take area, and that means there is no PRO in the area that is a standard highway easement because they're saying the same thing. Next column is the net take. So in this case, the gross take and the net take are identical. Next column is remarks, and we're going to outline these in blue, and what this blue area is telling us is that a lot of the mineral rights, or literally all of the mineral rights, have been that other people own those mineral rights. The Ribes do not own those mineral rights. Outlined in red are some other things to be aware of, that in the SH area that is taken, there's going to be a removal of a stump, and we're also removing a portion of the wooded area in the new SH taking. So now we're going to look at the temporary taking, and it is in a blue arrow going down. So that, it is a red arrow, and the taking for the T is 0.0330 acres. The next red arrow is if there's any PRO in that take, and there is none. The next red arrow shows the net T taking, and the gross take and the net take are identical. Outlined in yellow is that the taking for the temporary is for grading and driveway construction, and a removal of a portion of the wooded area is also in that T taking. We're looking below. Outlined in red is the legend for the different takings, which are SHs and Ts. The red outline to the left tells how long the temporaries are to be acquired for. All temporary parcels will be 12 months in duration. All right, let's move on to the next slide. We're going to review some of the legal concepts that we've just talked about in the summary sheet. The property rights that are acquired are SH and T. So if we go to the right-of-way plan portion of our real estate manual and go to section 3200, it talks about the types of title. And outlined in red is the standard highway easement. And we use this identifier to acquire rights of way for a highway improvement where fee simple title is not required, and limitation of access from adjoining land is not desired. So what we're looking at right now is the actual easement document that's going to be used to acquire the property from the Ribes. And what the easement document says is the grantor conveyance to the state an easement, and then attached to that easement document is an Exhibit A. It's a perpetual easement for highway purposes without limitation of existing access rights for public highway and road purposes, including but not limited to any utility construction, relocation, and/or utility maintenance work. The grantor, the owner, reserves all existing rights of ingress and egress to and from any residual area. So this is what we know. It's an easement for highway purposes. It's not limited by time. The easement will last into perpetuity. The owner's access rights are preserved. The owner has limited utility in the land that is encumbered with the SH easement. And the SH areas become known as PRO on highway plans. All right, next slide. Let's talk a little bit about PRO, present road occupied. Once ODOT owns the PRO easement, it can at a future date with another project buy out the remaining property rights from the underlying fee owner and convert the SH into a WD or WL landholding. The amount ODOT pays for those remaining property rights is controlled by Ohio jury instruction. And this is the instruction from Ohio jury. If any of the property taken is subject to an existing easement for public purposes, such property has no substantial value and only nominal compensation will be awarded for it. Nominal means trifling or small, usually $10 or less. That means that ODOT's going to pay $10 or less to the owner when it acquires the remaining property rights in the existing PRO or SH area. So based on the above legal instruction, when ODOT acquires an SH easement anywhere in the state of Ohio, compensation is going to be fee value of the land taken less $1, and that will be the compensation for the SH easement that's taken. This is going to be applicable to the estimate of compensation for the Ribe property, parcel 10. Here's an example estimating compensation for an SH taking. Let's assume the land value for the Ribe property was $10,000 an acre. Per the plans, the SH area needed from Ribes is 0.0465 acres. So the first step is we estimate the fee value of the land taken. So that's 0.0465 acres times 10,000 an acre is $465. Step 2, we're going to subtract $1 from the fee value of the land taken. And the reason we do that is the Ohio jury instruction is that the remaining property rights left to the owner have no substantial value. The property rights taken by an SH easement are substantial. The owner cannot do much within that SH area. The SH taking is nearly the same as a fee simple taking. Therefore, the fee value of the land taken is reduced by $1 to reflect the few remaining property rights that are going to be left to the owner after we take that SH easement. So we subtract $1. And the third step is we estimate compensation for the SH taken. And so the mathematical difference is $464. All right, so we've talked about the SH. Let's now look at the temporary easement that's going to be taken. Here is the actual instrument for the temporary easement. The grantors grant to the state of Ohio the temporary easement to exclusively occupy and use for the purpose mentioned in Exhibit A. And so this is Exhibit A. Temporary easement for the purpose of performing the work necessary 2, and we would insert the purpose of the temporary here based on the highway plans. 4, the number of months, and we would also insert the number of months also from the right-of-way plans. In this case, it's going to be 12 months. And that starts from the date of entry by the State of Ohio Department of Transportation. So we know this: temporary easements for highway purposes. The duration is 12 months. It starts when an agent of ODOT enters upon the property encumbered by the temporary construction easement. All right, we are now going into temporary easements for construction purposes. We're going to elaborate. Compensation for temporary construction easement is also controlled by the Ohio jury instruction, which states a temporary easement is the right to use an area of land for a limited time and limited purposes. The measure of compensation for a temporary taking is the fair market value of the loss of use of the property taken. The fair market value is the lost rent or fair rental value. For temporary construction easement takings that don't involve a building, compensation is the fair market value of the loss of use of the area encumbered by the temporary. The method used to estimate compensation in these circumstances is the area encumbered by the temporary times the unit value of the residue property times the capitalization rate for the residue land times the duration of the temporary, and that will give us the land rent of the area encumbered by the temporary for its duration. The land rent is the compensation estimate for the temporary construction area. All right, it's now time for a knowledge check.